Hey guys, welcome back to Buzzer to Buzzer. All right, guys. So the NFL Super Wildcard weekend has officially elapsed, and the 6 games have gone by as well. There have been a lot of outcomes, a lot of interesting scores, and a lot of interesting developments as well. And for the usual, we're going to be going over those 6 games, our reactions and analysis as well. So without any further ado, let's get to it. The first game which we're going to be talking about is the one which just elapsed last night, that being between the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, guys, I think I speak for all of us when I say that first quarter was nothing like what we envisioned. The Browns getting up to a 28-0 start from the start of the game. It looked like the Steelers were in trouble. Now, all of us did have the Steelers except for a B, so I'll let you get started off. Why and how did the Browns pull this off?
I mean, if you look at how they were playing yesterday, right? They started, like you said, 28 points in the first quarter. They started off crazy. You know, that first aborted snap by the Steelers, and then Big Ben throwing those interceptions. Can't say that.
That's
Baker
fine.
Mayfield having a great game. So everything was going right for them. And the Steelers, they kind of came back. I don't know. Those kind of garbage time points. So I don't really know how that, if it's called coming back. But Big Ben with the 4 interceptions. The Browns defense was just really getting to him. 4 TDs too, 500 yards. I mean, apart from like some of those tipped interceptions, Big Ben had a great game, but it just wasn't enough. And I kind of call this upset. So yeah, the Browns are playing the Chiefs next week, and let's see how that goes.
You know, the start of the game was reminiscent of that 2013 Super Bowl that the Seahawks won. It just took a dark turn from there. After that, it was a pick and another pick, and the Browns just kept on rolling. And for a while there, it looked like maybe the Steelers might be coming back. At one point, they were down only 12, but Baker Mayfield played extremely well, and he led them all the way to victory.
I think Ben Roethlisberger played him like pretty well regarding his mistake. I think his mistakes is what cost him the game. It set the tone early in the game, and it was just too much of a hole to come back from. I think too many mistakes too early always is very costly to a team, and then you always come short with too little, too late. So I think they set the tone early, and that's what caused them to lose.
Exactly. After that first play and those first four possessions, Ben Roethlisberger throwing for 3 picks, it just looked very downside. The Steelers, Judah Smith, all these guys, they had a good start of the season, but they just proved to be one good half of a football team. One half they performed good, and this game I think truly capitalized on that. At the end of the half, they looked like they were coming back, but really not. And the Browns, what a story this is becoming. 18 years for the first time to make the playoffs. They beat a team which they were not supposed to beat. Now they're going to go up against the Chiefs. And if they win that game, my oh my, we got quite the storyline. All right, guys, and the next game we're going to be talking about is going to be the one between our hometown team, the Chicago Bears, against the New Orleans Saints. Guys, I personally had some hope last week. Picked them. We all had hope, heck. And 21-9, we made the playoffs undeservingly. We got kicked out deservingly. Jimmy Graham left the field deservingly. What do we do with this team?
Rayan, I would like to turn this one to you because you picked the Bears this week. So I want to know what your reactions are first to this Bears loss.
Well, Harsh, I had that little inkling of optimism that, Mitch Trubisky, he's coming in. Khalil Mack, they got a chip on their shoulder. It's looking like they're rejuvenized and nothing was working. From that, I truly believe that Jamal Williams made that catch in the first half. The whole tide of the game could have been different. The whole momentum could have been in our favor, but truly, after that drop catch, the whole game got dropped. Mitch Trubisky, he is not even extending his arm when going for the fourth down, just playing like soft football out here. Man, you're in the NFL. There needs to be a whole mentality shift. This team ain't right. We all know. Complete reset. Fire, 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 fire. Reset. Chicago got one common theme the past 10 years in sports. That is restarting. Like the Bulls, it's time for the Bears now.
Yeah, the Chicago Bears franchise, looking back on the 2017 draft, I mean, all the mistakes could be traced back to there. Picking Mitchell Trubisky was obviously a mistake, and that proved to be very costly these last couple of years. I think Ryan's exactly right. We're gonna have to reset. I think Ryan Pace might be gone. Matt Nagy, I think he'll stay for one more year, but if not, he might be gone too. And Mitch Trubisky's probably gone as well. This whole team needs a reset, and I think it's going to happen this offseason.
Looking back at the season, Trubisky has cost us maybe 2, 3, maybe a handful of games at most. But I honestly think it was the coaching this year. Mitchell Trubisky, if you look at last year, you look at this year, he played good. He's played significantly better. You look at this playoff game, there was minor mistakes, except for maybe, what Rayon saying, not extending on that fourth down play. And I think that's just a self-interest of not getting hurt for any quarterback. So you can understand that. I think Matt Nagy is to blame for this inconsistency. He has taken every single blame, like Rex Ryan said. And he's always diverted it to Trubisky. He doesn't like Trubisky. He's never liked the pick of Trubisky, so he's made him the villain. And when Trubisky's gone and Matt Nagy stays, everyone's going to realize what the real flaw here is.
Yeah, I don't think it definitely wasn't unexpected. I guess at least for us three, not Rayon, that the Bears would lose. But I feel like a reason why everyone's saying rebuild for the Bears, and like Harsh, you're saying Trubisky's not playing bad, but I feel like they just want him to play amazing. Like he's just not playing it to that level where he can lead a team. And yeah, I know the coaching, there's a lot to blame. Matt Nagy, who knows if he's gonna stay next year. But just fans want results, right? And Trubisky is not getting them any results. Nick Foles wasn't getting him any results. So I think they're definitely gonna have some sort of rebuild, as Ryan and Arian were saying.
Guys, now moving on towards the third game, which we predicted last week, that being between the Baltimore Ravens and the Tennessee Titans. Now, guys, it was a tight game for the first half, but Lamar Jackson did come in and got his revenge game win against the Titans. Our thoughts on this victory?
This game just shows that if you stop Derrick Henry, you stop the Titans. But he had 45 total yards, and this man coming off a 2,000-yard season. That's ridiculous. That just shows how good the Ravens defense is. And yeah, like you said, Ryan, it is a revenge game. It's not even like Lamar had an amazing game. He had a pretty good game, but nothing extraordinary. But the Ravens got the job done. They stopped Derrick Henry. Ryan Tannehill was kind of looking out of it. And yeah, I think the Ravens can actually do some damage in the playoffs.
Yeah, Lamar was a better runner than he was a thrower yesterday, but he still got the job done. I don't think this type of playing style is going to will yield success in the future. But as for yesterday, he played a really good game. He did exactly what he needed to do to get the win.
I think this game was a missed opportunity for the Titans. I think if they had tried going for a fourth down with 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, they would have had a chance. But after that, it seemed like Mike Vrabel wasn't ready to take the risks to win a playoff game. And, you need to call big plays, risky plays in order to win playoff games. And that's what the Ravens did, and they won.
Exactly, Harsh. That's what it goes down to. Mike Vrabel on those fourth downs, not trying to go for it. Even the probability suggested they could probably get it. But either way, Lamar Jackson coming in, I was a bit surprised. Till the end, it looked like Ryan Tannehill was leading them down the field, but that interception just sealed and ended the game. Not much to say. Lamar Jackson, the Ravens, moving on. All right, guys, now moving on towards the fourth game, which we predicted last week, that being between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Washington football team. Now, guys, this was a pretty close game, with the Buccaneers winning 31-23 till the very end, kept us on the edge of our seats. But Tom Brady getting his first W in the home state of Florida. Our thoughts on this game?
Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay offense is looking really hot right now. They're off the regular season, they had 3 straight amazing games. And, I think the same thing happened in this game. I think it's going to be very interesting to see if that, offense can keep going against the Saints next week. But, Washington was a top 5 defense this year. And for what Tom Brady did, it was pretty special.
Yeah. I think we all said it too. That in no means was that game a blowout. It was pretty close the entire time, other than some point in the third quarter. But it was a great game played by Tom Brady. Obviously, I think he's still looking great. A lot of people are saying he's washed up this year. The start of the year, not a great start, but he's been doing great this second half of the season. And it's his time, the playoffs. This is where Tom Brady shines. But credit to the Washington football team, though. I think they put up a good fight. A lot of people thought they were going to get blown out, and they were a bad playoff team. They weren't worthy. I think they proved that they were worthy. And Chase Young, he definitely has a bright future.
The football team is known for its strong defense, but not for its offense. And this Tampa Bay defense, even though they won that game, I'm concerned about their secondary. They are very bad when it comes to man coverage and zone coverage, which is essential when you're trying to beat teams like Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, especially at Lambeau Field. And so looking at this game, even if they beat the Saints next week in the Superdome, that's not a viable option and a way to beat the Packers. You got to play better on defense. You got to be a better team in coverage. And so I'm worried that this team let up 23 points to the Washington football team offense.
Exactly. It's a Tom Brady, great game. Leonard Fournette getting the ground game rolling as well, nearly 100 yards rushing there. But besides the fact that Chase Young had a stellar game, Taylor Heineke, that's a new name for the coming ages. It's one of those names which all of a sudden gets blown up. Chris McSorley out here, but this guy actually did it. Throwing for 306 yards, kept the team in the game, having some stellar plays, not afraid to take the hits unlike some other quarterbacks we know of, right, in the local area. I think that this guy's going to become, he's becoming a free agent. He's going to have a bright future. He's getting the bag this offseason. Much bright future for the football team. All right, guys, now moving on towards the fifth game, which we predicted for last week, that being between the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams. Notice how we all got a smile in this loss, right? Avi, the Rams losing 30-20 in a game which they should have won. A terrible performance from Russell Wilson. O-line, D-line, whole team, garbage line. Our thoughts on this game?
I mean, you're not wrong when you said what you said. No, I'm not going to rant here because I've done a lot of ranting outside of us recording on our episodes, but it was just super disappointing of a performance on everyone's part. A lot of times, right, I blame the O-line, and it's partially Russell Wilson's fault, like making bad throws, holding on the ball too long. But I think if you watch that entire game, the O-line was getting killed. I mean, second half, Aaron Donald wasn't even in the game. And literally Russell Wilson, a second after he snapped, he had D-lineman in his face, couldn't even throw anywhere. It was just like a horrible performance. We really need to get some new O-line, otherwise we're screwed. And I really hope the Rams beat the Packers because they are a great defense and people need to give them credit. So good game to them, but yeah, pretty disappointing loss.
This made my weekend. I love seeing the Seahawks lose, especially in a home game against a quarterback without a thumb. Come on, Russell Wilson, what are you doing? This offense in the first half of the year was unstoppable. And then for whatever reason, they just slowed down and they came to a stop. Russell Wilson and that offense couldn't get anything going until it was too late. And you have to give the Rams defense credit. I mean, consistent pressure. Jalen Ramsey locked DK Metcalf up. So I think it was a really good game by the Rams defense, which is why they won that game.
Ever since Russ wanted that trademark for let Russ cook, the only thing he's cooked is interceptions. He's always throwing TDs for his team and the other team. Like, what was it? He had 3 this past weekend. And, it just shows that this whole offense is relying. Yeah, it just goes to show that if this offense doesn't work, you can't rely on that defense. Sure, at the beginning of the thing, they played pretty well. And some parts of the season, they've been showing that, hey, like if the offense doesn't show up, maybe we have a chance of showing up and proving that we're not completely garbage. But, they went back to their old ways this game. They let the Rams walk all over them with one less thumb than they should have. And the Seahawks simply folded.
Last season and this season for the Seahawks were pretty similar. Seahawks at the beginning of the season, go back to our old videos. In the first couple of weeks, we're like, oh, Russell Wilson, lock for MVP. Seahawks looking unstoppable. They're the juggernaut. And then they go up, and then they come crashing down. It's like, it's become a common trend. I don't know if it's like the new fashion trend for the Seahawks, but I'd advise, time to change it up, put some new Cortez on. Because this ain't got to work. It's time for the Seahawks to, I don't even know what's time to do. Honestly, Russell Wilson, I think he's a stellar quarterback. Hall of Fame for sure, first ballot. He's got Super Bowl winner, although not a Super Bowl MVP. And not a Nickelodeon MVP for that matter as well. But still, the Seahawks got some stuff to plan out for the future. The boy DK Metcalf torched it up, not against Jalen Ramsey, but still had nearly 100 yards. Got to give him credit, I have much more respect for him. But aside from that dirty hit Jamal Adams had on John Wolford, the Seahawks just going out. The Rams, let's see what they do. All right, guys, moving on towards the final game which we prepared for last week, that being between the Indianapolis Colts and the Buffalo Bills. Now, guys, all of us had the Bills winning, and the Bills did come on and win, but it was quite the close game with the Colts almost coming back at the end, separated by a field goal. Our thoughts on this game?
There's a lot of controversy about the game. It was a close game. Some people were saying the refs made some bad calls, especially with that fumble, I believe. People were saying, like, in the fourth quarter, right? Yeah, the fumble in the fourth quarter. They were saying like it wasn't a fumble. Some were saying it was. So, putting aside the refs and their calls, right? It was just a good game played by both teams. Very close throughout all 4 quarters. And Colts defense, people forget that they're probably like a top 5, top 3 maybe even defense. And the Bills have a high-powered offense right now. So it was expected, and they did play good. But let's see how they play against the Ravens next week. And yeah, that was a good game.
Josh Allen almost sold this game with that 23-yard fumble sack that they had. But yeah, other than that play, Josh Allen played really good. The Bills defense is worrying though, because the Colts running all over them. Colts were passing all over them. I think they had like 400 and some yards of offense in this game. So I think looking forward, that's something that the Bills are going to have to fix. But as for Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, they're looking as good as ever.
You know, I think this game proved that the Colts are good, but the Bills are just better. You know, everyone knew that the Josh Allen was going to want to play, and he played for around 3.5 quarters, but he tensed up like he did last year, except they were up by enough for him to follow through. And I think the tension's gone now. You know, he won his first playoff game. Same with Lamar. I think he has a bit of tension. I think that's been relieved. So it's going to be fun to see them play to their full potential next week.
Yeah, not much to say. You know, we saw that Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs combination at full swing. Stephon Diggs having a stellar game, a touchdown in there as well. Not much more to say here. You know, I expected the Colts. I didn't expect this close of a game, but it was quite the entertaining game to kick off the Wildcard weekend. And let's see how the Bills do this upcoming week. All right, guys. Well, those are our analysis for the Super Wildcard weekend with just elapsed. As always, guys, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and comment down below your takeaways from these 6 games which elapsed. There was a lot to take away, so we love hearing what you guys got to say. As always, guys, take care. See you guys on the next one. See you guys.